I will never forget the first time I stepped into that tunnel. It was autumn in Fukuoka Prefecture, the kind of crisp afternoon that makes you believe in clarity and reason. My name is Haru, and I was 22 then, a university student majoring in folklore, too curious for my own good. The tunnel was called Inanaki, or Dog's Howl, a name that should have warned me. It had been sealed decades ago after a series of unexplained fires, but local legends said something else lived there. The ghost of a young man who had been burned alive. I found the entrance behind a tangle of wild ivy and rusted warning signs. The concrete archway gaped like a dark mouth. My phone showed full signal. My flashlight was freshly charged. My portable recorder was ready. I stepped inside, and the air changed immediately, cold, thick, heavy with the smell of old smoke and wet stone. The first 10 meters were uneventful. Graffiti covered the walls. Beer cans littered the floor. I almost laughed at my own fear. Then I checked my phone. No signal. Not just weak, absent, as if the concept of radio waves had never existed. My flashlight flickered once, twice, and died. The recorder emitted a low whine and went silent. That was when I heard the crackling. Not static. Fire. The sound of wood snapping, fabric popping, flesh sizzling. I pressed myself against the tunnel wall, my heart hammering so loud I thought it would drown out everything else. But the sound grew clearer. A young man's voice screaming. Not in pain, in terror. The raw, primal scream of someone who knows death is coming and cannot stop it. And then I saw him. He was maybe 19, dressed in the tattered remains of a school uniform from another era. Flames clung to his arms, his chest, his hair, but he wasn't running. He was stumbling forward, reaching toward me with hands that had already turned to charcoal. His mouth stretched wide in a silent howl, because by then his vocal cords must have been ash. His eyes, though, his eyes were still human, still begging. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The heat from his burning body washed over me in waves, but it was a phantom heat. It didn't singe my skin, only my soul. He passed within a meter of me. I smelled his hair burning. I heard the wet pop of his eyes rupturing. Then he was gone, swallowed by the deeper dark, and the flame light faded, and I was left shaking in absolute blackness. But the tunnel wasn't empty. Other shapes emerged from the walls. Not solid like the burning boy, thinner, gray as exhaled smoke, their faces half-formed. A woman carrying a child that flickered like a candle. An old man whose legs dissolved into mist. They didn't scream. They whispered, hundreds of whispers layering over each other, forming words I couldn't understand but felt in my bones. Help us. Leave. Remember. Burn. I ran. Or tried to. My legs felt like lead. The tunnel had grown longer than it should have been. The entrance, which had been 50 meters behind me, now seemed a kilometer away. I stumbled over something soft. Looking down, I saw a hand. Not a ghost's, a real hand, pale and cold, attached to a body half buried in rubble. A missing hiker from last year, according to later reports. But at that moment, all I could do was scream. The ghosts followed me to the mouth of the tunnel. I burst out into the autumn light gasping, tears freezing on my cheeks, my shirt soaked through with sweat. Behind me, the darkness of Inanaki Tunnel looked ordinary again, just a hole in a hill, nothing more. But my phone remained dead for 3 hours afterward. The flashlight never worked again. The recorder, when I finally dared to play it back, contained only 17 minutes of white noise and one clear phrase, spoken in a young man's voice that crackled like a dying fire. It hurts. It still hurts. I went back once. A year later, with a priest and a camera crew. The priest refused to enter. The cameras failed the moment we crossed the threshold. I stood at the entrance alone, and I saw him again, the burning boy, walking his eternal walk toward nowhere. This time he stopped, turned his ruined face toward me, opened his mouth. No sound came out, but I understood. He wanted me to tell his story, not to save him, he was beyond saving, but to remember that he had lived, that he had laughed, that he had loved someone once before the fire came. To remember that his name was Kenji, according to records I later found, and that in 1972 he had been trapped in that tunnel during a wildfire started by careless workers. 19 years old, a baseball player who dreamed of the pros, a boy who wrote letters to his mother every week. I am 34 now. I no longer believe in ghosts as hauntings. I believe in them as echoes, moments of pain so intense they burned themselves into the fabric of a place, replaying forever like a scratched record. The tunnel was demolished in 2016. But sometimes late at night, when my phone loses signal for no reason, I smell smoke. I hear a young man screaming, and I write down his story one more time so that at least someone remembers. Kenji, if you can hear this, I saw you. I see you still, and I will carry your fire in my memory until my own light goes out.